Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel of Bethel Evangelical Free Church Hanley. I'm Pastor Gervais Charmley, and this is another North Yorkshire church. This is maybe number 5 in the North Yorkshire churches series. This is the little church at Dalton, just down the hill from Kirkby Hill, which, God willing, will be the previous video. And this is built in 1899. So this is almost 125 years old. It's a very different building, of course, from Kirkby Hill. It's a little chapel of ease, basically. And it's a funny shape because it's built on a sort of wedge-shaped piece of land in the middle of the village. So it's a great example of a church that has been adapted to the location, the piece of land provided for it. And we'll see a bit more when we go outside. There's a couple of roads that come to a point just beyond the church that meet up at a junction. So it's a sort of wedge-shaped building. So it's narrowest at the west end and it's widest at the east end. And we'll see what they've done to get a sort of, well, as much space as possible here in this little area. So very interesting. We'll have a look around. As usual, we start at the west end, and here it's actually quite an unusual west end because there's a west porch. Now, this is necessary, of course, because of the site, but the west porch is also the baptistry, which is quite unusual. You see, here's the font. So it's a font baptistry. Just look out the window here, and you can see that tree and that wedge-shaped piece of land there, and that tells you something about the shape of the building. And you see here, we look in here, and you've got through the nice clear glass, so nice flooded with light, sort of scrubbed oak interior, pine benches, nice interior, and we proceed west. There's not a lot to say, obviously not a lot of history here. This is a little pulpit on the side there, lectern over there, and you can see the lectern really is used leaning over this little low screen. There are bigger screens for what amount to aisles, but the funny thing is that aisles in the chancel, not aisles in the nave. And normally you find aisles in the nave, but here there's not enough space, but to utilize maximum space, and here you've got a porch, an internal porch. Well, what's that doing there? Well, of course, that's there for just that's there to allow people to come in to that porch, and that effectively that aisle then would have been extra seating. It's a village church. I don't think it has a big house connection. Here we have the altar table, and in front we have some hassocks and kneelers that are embroidered, that have been made for 1977, the Silver Jubilee of the late Queen Elizabeth, and then the 60th, their Diamond Jubilee, their 2012. They didn't do anything for 2022, and we'll see what we get with King Charles. The other side here, so one side is seating, the other side is the vestry, and we've got this really nice safe. I mean, and no stealing that safe. And quite right too. People try to do that though, but it's set up as a sort of vestry area. You've got a little sink, no cooking utensils though. And looking west from behind the pulpit, you can see this nice ceiling. There's a fan in there for when it gets hot in the summer. I suspect it gets very warm here on a hot summer. Certainly last year, the summer, it would have been cooking in here in the summer. There's a single bell, ding-dong bell, and we have here, this is the extra seating here, a couple of rows of pews either side. Doesn't look like it gets used. Of course, these days, fewer people go to church, fewer people are living in the village, I expect. There's a Coalbrookdale plaque of Leonardo's Last Supper. They're very, very common, quite nice. And no stained glass window. That means no one's given it. So again, that confirms my suspicion. This is a village church, not a big house church. This is we're providing somewhere for the locals here to worship, so they don't have to trek all the way up to Kirkby Hill on a Sunday. And it's still very much as it would have been, bar the sink and a few things over there, but it's still very much as it would have been in 1899 when it's opened, and it's this brand new church. And so that door there, so we will actually have a look at this door here, but this door goes outside. This is a separate porch. It's a dark little porch, and it's now used for storage. It's now a cupboard, but it would originally have been a door. We'll see. There's the bell rope, and we'll see outside that there is a door on the outside. And so that's the inside. Very simple, not very big. It's not a big village, but you get the feeling here, as you do in any good village church, that there's a certain pride of place. This is our church. This is our place. And particularly somewhere where the village is quite old, but there wasn't a church here until 1899. So here we are back in the porch. It'll be a little bit tricky outside because we are in between two roads in the middle of a village, but we'll be okay. So this is Dalton on the outside. It's got a beautiful little building. It is local stone, little bell turret, flechette, spire thing in the middle, porch at the west end. Gorgeous building, and clearly very well loved today. The people here clearly still appreciate this provision that was made just a century and a quarter ago. So we'll have a look around the outside. Not all the way around because you can't get around the east end. So here we go around the outside at Dalton, and there's the flechette, there's a little bell in there in the middle. It looks like some birds have been making their homes in there. The swallows have made a nest. Not the swallows actually, but other birds. And here we are the outside. Now this is then the Church of St James apparently. I'd failed to check what the dedication was on the outside, so back up here, being very careful of course, because backing up is always tricky. So there we go, and you can see how the aisles at the east end stick out, and you've got buttresses. So it's a nice piece of imitation 14th century. Imitation 14th century is good. But it's what the Victorians like, and this is still a Victorian church. Here we are on the north side. The north and south sides are very similar, so we'll have a look around the south side really, because that's the more interesting side. That's the side that's got the door in it, and it shows where the access was. Here we are. And as you can see, it's got a constrained site. I mean, there's the road, and there's the other road, and the shape of the church is very much straight nave, and then you've got these funny aisles at the east end, which, as I noted, is unusual. This, of course, is the back door, not used anymore, because after all, why do you need to have two doors to this church? And the east end backs on somebody's garden. So there we have it from the east end, and you can see it's a gorgeous building. I do love this building. It's very much this. We have a site in the middle of the village. We're going to put a church on it, and this is it. So that's that. So that is St James's, Dalton. And so there we go, St James's, Dalton on the outside. I'm going to have to be quick. I'm standing in the middle of the road here, so this is not a safe place to stand. So thank you for watching, and may God bless you and keep you until next time.